I think it's ready now.
Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Benjamin Elijah Mays GoTeam meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it has been provided and emailed to you and publicly noted. I am pleased to call this meeting of the Benjamin Elijah GoTeam meeting to order at 5:17 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll and review our norms. The secretary will now take roll.
If you could please say present when I call your name, we greatly appreciate it, and thank you for attending this meeting. Mr. Garner,
Present.
Ms. Bryant, present. Ms. Cody, Ms. Anderson,
Present.
Mr. Dunn,
Present.
Ms. Raymond,
Present.
Ms. Smith,
Present.
Mr. Khalif. I'm sorry, Mr. Lee.
Present.
Thank you. Ms. Jones,
Present.
Ms. Jenkins,
Present.
Malachi Youngblood, and Tamia Price. Thank you for that attendance call. Madam President, we do have enough for a quorum and we can start business as usual.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. The team will only be able to take action if a quorum is present. Thank you, Ms. Bryant, for confirming that we do have a quorum present. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you and copies are here. Are there any changes to the agenda? May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Can you state your name, please?
Rejoice.
Thank you.
Jones. Yep.
Okay. A second. May I have a second motion?
Second motion to approve.
Okay. That was Ms. Raymond. Ms.
Elizabeth
Bryant.
Raymond, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, say aye or raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please identify yourself or raise your hand. Thank you. We will now review and approve the meeting minutes from our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections? Thank you. If there are no further corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
Motion to approve. Rejoice.
Thank you, Ms. Rejoice. May I have a second?
Motion to approve, Mrs. Raymond.
Thank you, Mrs. Raymond. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Or raise your hand. Thank you. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please identify yourself or raise your hand. Thank you. We will now move to, okay, so I think we have to do the presentation first and then we'll do the discussion. So now we will move to our discussion items on our agenda. And our first discussion item is for our final budget recommendation. We will now move to our next item of business. Dr. Garner, please share with us your final budget recommendation.
All right, good good evening, everyone. Hopefully everybody's had a great day. And we'll jump right in. So, our norms have not changed. They are the same. I won't read them to you, but please read them for yourselves and let's lock into those. Next slide. So we are finally at step 8 of this budget process. Today, we will take a look at the final budget and, ask that we have a vote to finalize it. Next. So what, during this meeting, Go Teams will review all components of the budget, which should be updated based on feedback from the cluster superintendent and key leaders. After the review, Go Teams will take action. That's today on fiscal year 26 budget. Why? Principals will present the final budget recommendations for Go Team approval when all approval meetings must be held after staffing conferences. Budgets must be approved by March 14th. Next slide. All right, budget updates. So here we are. We did have a few minor changes to our budget. The changes were made to draft the budget we discussed at our last meeting. These changes reflect an allocation change of about $272,089. Changes are detailed on the next slide. So since our last meeting, when we met initially, we had two secretaries. Couldn't afford to keep both, so I did remove one of them and created a 231 clerk position, which cost the budget a little bit less, but we are still able to have that person to do that work. I removed two 202-day clerk positions and moved them up to 231 clerk positions, which is what we needed. We did abolish a social worker position, which allowed me to pick up one of the behavior specialists we were losing. So instead of losing two behavior specialists, we only needed to lose one. Created an additional 0.5 allocation for one of our science teachers. Just a little background, before we were IB authorized, we had to partner with Thero High School in order to be able to service our students. So we split science teacher with Thero. So I paid 0.5 and Thero paid 0.5 of the position. For this year, since we did earn our IB authorization, we don't need to do that anymore. So I needed to add the other half to make sure that we had our science teacher full-time. And then we reduced non-staffing. In order to make those adjustments, we had to reduce some non-staffing allocations, stipends, contracted services, web-based subscriptions, and district-funded field trips and supplies in order to make sure we had the money to cover those adjustments. Next slide.
I have a quick question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, any
What
questions?
are district funded field trips? Like, what would be an example of a district funded field trip?
So the district funds trips saved for fine arts students. So say this year we've had all of our freshman students went to I forget what the play was. No, they went to Atlanta Symphony Orchestra um to watch a performance. So that's an example. Every year the district has these funded field trips that they will allow, students from different schools to participate in.
So does this mean that we, if it's district funded, but it's coming from our budget, so we no longer attribute to that fund? I'm just trying to understand like where we lost or reallocated these funds.
Yeah, so district funded field trips, more so the transportation. And that just may be, they give us these budget lines. And when there is a shortfall, then we have to remove money from different lines in order to make sure there isn't a shortfall. I'm not too concerned, Rejoice, and I'll tell you why. It's because I don't know if you remember when we were speaking of our budget, and it's all contingent upon us hitting our numbers. So we have this reserve fund of over 200 and something $1,000. So if we hit our enrollments, which again, we asked for a more conservative enrollment number, which was 1320, then we will get those funding. So I'm not too concerned, even though there's no guarantee that we will get those. At this moment, it's all about budgeting it's all about balancing the budget. They weren't going to let me take it to them with these deficits, and knowing that I had to like allocate for a part-time science teacher, the other half of the science teacher, which I didn't realize when we met initially. or I got to move these clerks around and things of that nature. I just had to balance the budget. So I had to move money around to get it balanced. So, that's essentially what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. All right, next slide. So team, here's our final budget numbers. You can see where it is around, instruction, pupil services, improvement of instructional services, instructional staff, and training, administration, maintenance, operations, transportation. Our final numbers. Next slide. And here is just a pie graph based on where we are, how all of the funding is broken down. Next slide. So again, are there any questions before we take our final vote?
I was gonna say, and I don't know if we'll talk about the cluster meeting and speaking with Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson, the superintendent, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
But there was a lot of discussions about funding to kind of just like say to the Go team that everyone's thinking about it. And I really felt I left the call feeling more confident in our direction of just him being able to explain the balanced budget. Because I, from a sort of economist point of view, like really believe in balanced budget, or just the fact that we now have to participate more in saying, what do we need? And
Right.
so I just enjoy these discussions more because I think it just makes everyone more engaged with where the money is going and why.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my 2 cents.
We do have a slide to talk about the CAT meeting, so you can dive in a little bit further if you would like in that moment. All right. So now we need to take action. Well, I'll turn this back over. Is it Ms. Jenkins or Ms. Raymond now?
It's going to be Mrs. Raymond, but I'm going to go and give it in. Yeah. So, okay. So there was no more discussions. So, okay. So I will go. So we will review and approve a vote for, so we will now next. Okay, oops, sorry. Just making sure that we're voting on this. Okay. So we will now move to our next item of business, the final budget recommendation. So thank you, Dr. Garner, for sharing this information. So we will now entertain a motion to approve this budget. Can I have a motion to approve the budget?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Whoever did the motion to approve, can you state your name, please? Please
Oh,
state
sorry.
your name.
Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
Ms. Bryant Rejoice Jones, motion to approve.
A second?
Ms. Bryant second the motion.
Oh, Ms. Bryan second the motion. Okay. And we had, you had the name recorded for who approved the first motion, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So all in favor, please say A or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please identify yourself or raise your hand. Okay, and please identify yourself. Did we have one abstention?
Philippe.
Okay, so we will now move on to the or information item first from Dr. Garner's or the principal's report.
So,
Oh,
yeah, information that I want to display, we're coming up on a Georgia milestones time. So it is, getting close to that time, not only Georgia milestones, but we also have our end of pathway assessments. We have our AP exams coming up, our IB exams um, that are coming up as well. A lot of great things happening right now with our kids within the school. We have a group of students. We have 6 students. 3 will be going to France. 3 will be going to Spain on spring break. We have another group of students who will be attending Ghana over in Africa, Accra, on spring break as well. So we're excited about those students. Literacy night, thank you, Ms. Raymond, is coming up. You'll get some communication for everybody that's a part of our calling posts. Literacy night is next Tuesday, March 18th, starting at 5:30. We're gonna have it's a Miss Smitty, our media specialist, is doing a great job of coordinating and putting this together. It's gonna be a camp style event where we will have dinner for you, but also the gist of it is to learn more about literacy, right? And make sure that our students and parents are aware of what we're doing in every content area for literacy and also in preparation for the Georgia milestones. Thank you again, Ms. Raymond. Saturday school is coming up for biology and also algebra. I just signed off for Saturday school also for U.S. history and American literature. I want to let you know our basketball team made it to the Elite Eight, which we're super proud about that. They lost to the team who eventually won the state championship. We are super excited about some of our track athletes. Young man Keith Fowler is ranked in the state for long jump. We took a group of students to Skills USA, where our students did really well. Diamond Johnson won first place in dental assisting. We had Mahadi Samasa. He got third place at the leadership conference for baking and pastry. Zade Lewis received second place in basic health care. Taylor Malone, she won third place in medical terminology. Um, Wait a minute, I want to make sure I share all of everything with you. We had 5 students to win first place at the Georgia Student Technology Competition. One of our biggest winners was Joseph Lucifer. He won second place in audio production. We hosted our rising ninth graders from Young Middle School and also Kendesi Charter School here last week. They were able to come in, take a tour, learn more about all of the programs that we have to offer. We solidified our IB authorization, guys. That's something that we have been working on for, I believe, over 7 years. So now we're a fully IB authorized school in CP, career program, DP, diploma program, and also middle years program. And that is official. We had our college and career week last week. Last Monday was a military day. We tripled the amount of students who took the ASVAB from last year, this year. So super excited about that. Um, we also had Alumni Day. Mr. Khalifa, thank you guys for coming out. Thought that was a big hit for our seniors. We just trying to make sure I don't forget anything. Our riflery team is headed to the state championship. So our girl, and it's led primarily by some of our female students, man. We're super proud of them. They go and compete for the state title on this Saturday. So please wish them luck. And then the last thing is we had 2 students to go and compete at the Young Litigators Moot Court competition this past week. And one of our students won Best Speaker, Nevaeh. I don't have Nevaeh's last name in front of me. But again, just a lot of highlights and opportunities for our students. Mayor Franklin reached out again today. We have some a trip down to Alabama for another group of students. We're trying to take that on April 2nd. In addition to that, we have a group of students, CTI students, who will be going over to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium along with some other high school students from Atlanta Public Schools who may not be going to college. So they have trade certifications and trade opportunities. For that group of students, I think Ms. Raymond, I think you're going on that trip. That's coming up. And I need to have all of these things written down. I try to remember them all. I know I'm leaving something off. But again, a lot of great things happening at our school. Students are in classes. We're really pushing forward and pushing hard to make sure that we continue to have a legacy to keep and an image to uphold.
Thank you, Dr. Garner. We'll now hear a report from our February 24, 2025 CAT meeting. Could Principal Garner or Dr. Garner or the cluster rep please share the information from last month's meeting?
I actually missed that meeting, but Rejoice, were there any other highlights from the CAT meeting that you want to share with this team? Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
If we can hear you now, Rejoice. We can
Yes.
hear you.
Okay, great. First I'd like to say that I actually went to the game, the boys basketball game. Oh my gosh. I think we all should start doing more things on the Go team, like together to see, because when I tell y'all my heart, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My heart was just so overwhelmed with joy, like watching our students and just them like carry themselves, because it was hostile in the sense that they did come exactly how you thought they would. Principal Garner, they had the boys on the other team lined up with their shirts on. You know, it was still very friendly, but it was competitive, and we love sports.
Right.
And so to just watch our boys, first of all, I didn't know they played so good. So that's on me to do better next year. But to just watch them, we only lost by a few points, but we really controlled most of the game. But to just see like how well we can get, and you can just see this being a premier sports school.
Right.
So next year, I just want to encourage us to like go to whatever is your fancy. Like, I love basketball, but like, because it really takes what we do here on the Go team, and it really gives heart and soul to why what we do matters. And so it was just like beautiful to really see that. And I rode the bus with them, so you just get a chance to like to really feel it. So I was very grateful for that. So, and on the next note, the cluster meeting went well. This particular cluster meeting, we talked about the 2 objectives for the cluster that we wanted to really focus on as a cluster, being special education, family engagement, and literacy. Those are the top priorities for the cluster. And it was just a good time to really hear from elementary all the way to high school how each principal is thinking about these 2 priorities, but also how they relate to one another, right? So what they do at the elementary affects the middle school, and the middle school affects. So we get to really be a little bit more intentional about a cluster, what type of school system and community we want to produce. The first few minutes, we did get a chance to speak and ask questions to Superintendent Dr. Johnson, and I really enjoyed the talks about the budget, and just coming from the private sector, always feeling like we needed to have more skilled leaders that understood how much getting budget getting the finances right really allows us to do our job better by just prioritizing what's important. Because like Principal Garner and the teachers, you guys see it every day. Maybe we don't need as much money here. We need more resources here. And so just having been on GoTeam since 2018 and not really feeling that our leaders were structured and understanding how important it is, and now feeling super confident. So and also just knowing that more people are participating, like the school leaders, the community leaders, the GoTeam, everyone wants to be collaborative in what it will take. So just reporting back that Maze Cluster is focused on these two priorities: literacy and how that relates to family engagement, special education and how that relates to family engagement, and then overall collectively how we can utilize these new levers around the budget to do better work and do what we do every day. So that's the report.
Thank you, Rejoice.
Okay, are there any other announcements? So we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time?
Apologies. I was walking, y'all. My apologies. Can you hear me? My signal unstable. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, sir. We can hear you.
I'll try later. Go play. One, we have our March MPU meeting next month. If you having a little fun with the teletubes, you may have seen what's going on in the community. Call me on the news. Come on out and be participatory community member and get engaged in what's happening in your area for your children, for your youth, for your family, for your elders. Also, this Saturday, we have our weather program. So our homes need to be weatherized. That means we need to pay somebody to come and work on our home so we can stop paying so much for our bills for power. There'll be a meeting dealing with this in Adams Park on Saturday. Reach out to me for the credentials for that, or the, I'm sorry, not credentials, but the time for that meeting. Find out how much money you can get for free, how many programs you can apply for free, as well as if you are in the proper MPU from which you're in MPUH and you are already approved. But make sure you come out to make sure you get your dollars worth for people to come and fix on your home so you can get the dollars to weatherize your home and also get access to some solar panels in the future. And also tonight, we'll be meeting with our state representatives. So if you're an I, H, P, and X, our state representatives will be at CT Martin in literally 15 minutes. Come out and meet them with Andrea Boone, about 5 representatives that represent this side of town, this half of Atlanta. Come on through and meet your representatives so we can hold them accountable as we go through. We're going through downtown and in the White House.
And is there any other additional business at this time? Okay, so may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
A motion to adjourn the meeting.
A second?
Second,
I'll second
Anderson.
that motion.
Okay, and Ms. Secretary, did you get the names? Do you need them?
Yes, it was, the motion to
Okay.
adjourn was, Mr. Lee. Was that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I second.
Okay. All in favor, please say hey.
Okay, aye.
Or raise your hand. All opposed, please say nay or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Please identify yourself or raise your hand if so. Meeting is,
Apologize, was approval.
excuse me, I didn't hear you. I'm so sorry.
I was saying my hands aren't free. I wanted to be sure I was voted as an approval.
Oh, a vote, okay. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ms.
Peace.